Our main character is a girl named Young. She grew up with a rich friend, Songju. Whenever Young was sad, Songju would always be by her side to comfort her, and the two relied on each other. After spending a long time together, the two gradually developed a love for each other. One day, Songju's father died in a car accident and Songju was devastated. Shortly after, Young's mother also passed away due to illness, and the two people, who both lost their loved ones, cherished each other even more. Young's father built a villa near the beach in memory of his dead wife, and it became a place where Songju and Young played. After Young's mother's death, Young's father falls in love with an actress named Mira at a party and remarries her. After the marriage, Mira brings her son and daughter, whom she had with her ex-boyfriend, to live with Young and her father. You may find it hard to remember too many people. Don't worry, I will keep reminding you later. Mira's daughter, named Yuri, who is superficially well-behaved, is in fact extremely scheming. Facing a kind-hearted Young, Yuri has strong hostility and likes to take Young's things for herself. Young chooses to suffer in silence for the sake of her father's happiness and family harmony. One day after school, Songju comes to pick up Young. Yuri falls in love at first sight with the good-looking Songju and is jealous when she sees how well Songju and Young are getting along. Young gives Songju a hand-knitted red woolen hat and Songju gives Young a new outfit in return, and the two have a nice day together. The next day, Yuri steals the new clothes that Songju gave Young and wears them. When they get home, Yuri deliberately spreads inks on the clothes that Songju gave to Young, so the two have a fight over the clothes. As soon as Yuri sees her mother Mira coming, she immediately changes from a fierce look to an innocent one and says, "I saw that my sister's dress was beautiful and I just wanted to try it on, but I accidentally dripped ink on it." Young did not accept my apology but started to scold me. When Mira hears that her daughter Yuri has been bullied by Young, which is definitely not the truth, Mira looks at Young viciously. After the midterm exams, Yuri shows her mom her report card and she comes in second in the school, making Mira so happy that she praises her daughter's hard work. However, after learning that Young is the first in the school, Mira becomes upset and reprimands Yuri for not doing better than Young. When Yuri is reprimanded, Young can't help but go up and say something nice for Yuri. At this moment, Mira no longer pretends to be a loving mother, she starts to slap Young for getting better grades than her own daughter. Unfortunately, Young's father is not at home so he can't protect Junf. When Mira forces Young to call her Mom, the phone call interrupts the tense atmosphere and it is Songju calling. He asks Young to go ice skating with him. Mira then lies that Young is sick and asks Yuri to go out with Songju instead of Young. Mira thinks that Songju's family is rich, so she wants her daughter to win the affections of Songju. However, Songju is not interested in Yuri at all and rushes to Young's house as he hears that Young is sick. In order not to let Songju see her red and swollen face from Mira's beating, Young can only hide in the cabinet and cry in secret. Songju prepares to go to the United States to study, and Young is worried that Songju will not come back once he leaves. Songju smiles and tells her that as long as two people truly love each other, they will see each other again no matter how far apart they are. On the day Songju leaves, Yuri deliberately locks Young into the storage room to prevent them from seeing each other. Mira's son named Taywa unintentionally opens the door, and Young immediately escapes to rush to the airport, and finally manages to meet Songju. Songju gives Young a necklace as a souvenir before he leaves, as Yuri witnesses this from afar and becomes even more jealous. After Songju leaves, Yuri and Mira always make trouble for Young, making Young's life miserable. Mira and her son Taywa have a bad relationship and always quarrel. When it is almost Taywa's birthday, Taywa's biological father, who is also Mira's ex-boyfriend, gives him a pair of canvas shoes, but Mira accuses the gift of being too shabby, has a fight with Taywa, and locks him in the storage room. In the evening, Young cooks seaweed soup for Taywa, gives him a scarf and wishes him a happy birthday. Taywa, who has never felt such warmth before, cries bitterly. After living for so many years, his gambling biological father, cold-blooded mother Mira, and selfish sister Yuri, have never cared so much about him as Young. He mistakes Young's friendship for something more, and falls in love with her. In the following days, Taywa helps Young carry her school bag every day, give her his paintings about her, and seizes every opportunity to confess his love to her, only making Young feel very embarrassed. One day, Taywa confesses his love to Young at school and it becomes widely known. Yuri deliberately mocks Young as she gets home. An exasperated Young finally fights back this time, Hearing their argument, Mira and Young's father rush over. Mira falsely asks Young if she's okay. Young can't stand her fake sympathy. Sadly, Young's father doesn't know that Mira has been abusing Young all the time when he was away. Young is aggrieved and runs to the phone booth to call Songju. Taywa feels sad and guilty to see Young so sad, and comes over to put on a coat for her. With no way to vent out, Young yells to Taywa, "Why does your mother and sister have to torture me like this?" The companionship between the two is like a warm sunshine in this depressing family environment. 3 years later, Young has grown up to be a beauty. Although Taywa's confession was rejected by Young, his love for Young has never changed. Yuri also becomes exquisitely beautiful, and increasingly selfish. Songju is about to come back from America. He plans to take Young with him to the US for further studies, so he can finally be with Young. Taywa knows that Young is leaving, although his heart is reluctant, but for the sake of Young's future, Taywa still chooses to let go of Young. On the day Songju returns home, a jealous Yuri tries to stop Young from meeting him. The two of them wrestle on the lawn. Taywa comes over and holds Yuri tightly, giving Young a chance to get away and run to the airport to pick up Songju. Yuri chases after Young, trying to stop them from seeing each other. Young sees Songju on the opposite side of the road and they wave at each other happily. Young quickly runs towards the opposite side to meet him. However, she is hit by Yuri intentionally with her car. Young loses consciousness instantly, as Yuri gets out of the car and pulls Young, who is covered in blood, into the car. When Songju arrives at the scene, he only sees a bloodied photo. Mira wants to take Young to the hospital for treatment. Just as she arrives, she hears that a nameless female body, burned beyond recognition, has been brought to the hospital. At that moment, an evil thought occurs to Yuri. She puts Young's purse into the female corpse's pocket, and put Young's necklace around the female corpse's neck so that everyone will think this female corpse is Young, and Young is dead. Then, Yuri takes Young to her biological father's house and begs him to help her hide the body. When Yuri drives home, Taywa sees the blood on Yuri's body and learns the truth. He rushes to his father's house and sees Young. She is covered in blood but still alive. After Yuri's manipulation, Young's family thinks that the dead female body is Young and holds a funeral for her. When Songju hears the news, he sits on the floor and cries. He had missed Young for 3 years, and his lover was right in front of him. He was only one step away, but now they are separated from each other forever. On the other hand, Young wakes up from the car accident and completely loses her previous memories. Taywa wants to keep Young for himself, so he changes Young's name to Jisoo, lying to her that she is his friend and that her parents were killed in an accident. Then, he takes Jisoo and his biological father to move to another city. So from now on, I will call Young Jisoo. Yuri, replacing Jisoo, goes to study in America with Songju. 5 years later, Jisoo is running a clothing store with a friend. Yuri and Songju return from their studies. On the plane, Songju flirts with the beautiful woman next to him, and Yuri looks jealous on the side. Songju cannot forget Jisoo, and as soon as he gets off the plane, he goes straight to the beach where he used to have many good memories with Jisoo. At the same time, Taywa and Jisoo also come to this place. However, they pass by each other. Yuri tries every possible way to please Songju's mother to let Songju's mother agree to Yuri and Songju's engagement as soon as possible. Yuri's method works. Songju's mother asks him to marry Yuri. Just as they are about to get engaged, Songju decides that he needs to let go of Jisoo and goes to the merry-go-round again, where he had visited with Jisoo when he was a child. He begs to see Jisoo one more time. When he looks up, he does see Jisoo on the merry-go-round and can't help but run to her. Taywa sees that Jisoo is recognized and runs away with her. While passing by a stair, Jisoo accidentally falls down. She asks Taywa who Songju is. Taywa is furious with Jisoo for asking this question because he is so afraid of losing her. He is afraid that she, whom he has hidden for 5 years, will be found again. Jisoo is confused because Taywa has always been obedient to her. This is the first time he has ever lost his temper with her. Jisoo tries to catch up with Taywa when Songju comes after her and stops her. When he looks at his beloved one, Songju's eyes are full of tenderness. However, Jisoo doesn't recognize Songju at all and denies that she is Young and leaves. Songju doesn't give up and keeps chasing Jisoo until Jisoo uses a trick to get rid of him. But Songju sees the clothing store run by Jisoo, so in the following days, in order to get Jisoo's attention, Songju keeps appearing in front of her, which only makes Jisoo feel awkward. Under Songju's arrangement, Jisoo's clothing store is incorporated into Songju's company's shopping mall. Now she has to work in Songju's company, which gives Songju more opportunities to get close to her. Yuri, who also works here, is shocked to see Jisoo again, but she is relieved to find out that Jisoo has lost her memory. It is Songju's birthday, and he invites Jisoo to the hotel for dinner. He always feels that the woman in front of him is his love Young. Songju decides to take Jisoo to her former home to look for memories. When Mira sees Jisoo appear, she is freaked out. She is so worried that Jisoo will remember that it was Yuri who hit her 5 years ago. However, after looking at the photos in her home, Jisoo still can't remember anything. At this moment, Songju finally believes that Jisoo is not Young. Taywa is so afraid of losing Jisoo, so after Jisoo comes back, he immediately proposes to her, and to repay his kindness, Jisoo agrees to his proposal. Looking at the ring on Jisoo's hand, Songju is so depressed and jealous, so on the product meeting, he rejects Jisoo's newly designed product. At night, Jisoo stays alone in the company to work overtime in order to design a new product, and she falls asleep, only to wake up with Songju's jacket draped over her. Songju thoughtfully orders dinner for Jisoo, and the two of them sit in front of the carousel and gobble it up. Songju asks Jisoo why she is engaged to Taywa. Jisoo compliments Taywa so much as Songju becomes so jealous that the pizza in his mouth doesn't smell good anymore. They go to the ice rink and Songju is skating like a big boy. Soon, Jisoo joins in and is teased by Songju. The two of them have a great time on the rink, and despite falling over and over again, they are happy at the moment. The next day, Taywa asks Jisoo to go to a painting exhibition at 7 p.m., which is overheard by Songju. A jealous Songju deliberately makes Jisoo and the others work late at night, and then takes everyone to a dinner party after work. He gets drunk and keeps pouring out his thoughts about Young to Jisoo. Jisoo is touched by him and can't help but hug this poor man tightly. But then she feels sorry for Taywa, leaves Songju and runs out of the restaurant. Then, Jisoo is almost hit by Yuri with her car. Looking at the blinding headlights, she remembers the night she was hit, and she regains all her memory. Seeing that Jisoo is not seriously hurt, Yuri steps on the gas and escapes, while Jisoo freezes in place. As she runs through the bustling streets, scenes from the past come flooding back in her mind. Although she hates Taywa for lying to her all the time after she lost her memory, but understanding that Taywa was so selfish out of love for her, the kind Jisoo forgives him. Realizing that he can no longer love Jisoo so selfishly, Taywa calls and tells Songju that Jisoo is Young. From now on, I will call Jisoo back as Young. The two people who deeply love each other finally recognize each other. The two of them play around on the beach, hug each other tightly, laughing out loud. Seeing Young so happy, Taywa, who is hiding, leaves silently and calls Yuri to warn her not to try to break up Young and Songju again in the future. Yuri is stunned to learn that Young has recovered his memory and is going home. Young and her father are finally reunited. Mira falsely tries to hug Young, but Young pushes her aside. Yuri is afraid that Young is going to be with Songju again, so she deliberately tells Songju's mother that Young is in love with Taywa. They have been living together for 5 years. Hearing this, Songju's mother tells Young that Songju has been engaged with Yuri. Mira finds a lot of reporters to report the engagement party of Yuri and Songju. This way, Songju can't back out. Not wanting to embarrass anyone, Songju promises that the engagement will be held as usual. Yuri and Mira gloat over the success of their plan. However, they don't know Songju's plan. Although he promises to get engaged, he doesn't say who he will be engaged to. On the other hand, Taywa reads the newspaper and finds out that Yuri and Songju are engaged, not Young. So he calls Yuri and asks her to return Songju to Young, or he will tell everyone about the car accident 5 years ago. Yuri is afraid that the car accident 5 years ago will be discovered, but Mira says that she has a way to make Taywa disappear. She deliberately calls the police station and makes up a lie to tell them that Taywa has been painting forgeries and selling them, and this is a crime of fraud, so hurry up and arrest him. On the day of Yuri's engagement, just as the two are about to exchange their wedding rings, Songju suddenly tells the crowd that he wants to put the wedding ring on the finger of the woman he loves the most. He pulls out a ring and goes around Yuri to Young's side and hands over the ring. It turns out that it is all planned by Songju, who wants to get engaged to Young in front of everyone. At this time, Taywa also comes to the engagement party to confirm if Young and Songju are engaged, but he is unexpectedly arrested by the police called by Mira. As Songju is about to put the ring on Young's finger, Young sees Taywa being arrested by the police. She runs straight to Taywa, and the wedding ring is knocked to the ground, leaving a sad Songju behind. Since the guests are all present, to save the company's reputation, Songju has to complete the engagement with Yuri. Jung chases Taywa to the police station and finds out that he is under police investigation for the crime of painting forgeries and selling them, which is a crime that Mira slanders Taywa. Songju leaves the engagement party early when he hears the news. He comes to the police station and asks his assistant to take care of the case. Soon, Taywa is released. Taywa plans to leave alone but is stopped at the door by Jung. Taywa scolds Jung for being a stupid woman who had everything stolen by Yuri, then he turns around and leaves. All this is seen by Songju in the car and he silently watches Jung, looking at Jung, who is shivering from the cold on the roadside. He drags Jung into his car. Jung and Songju can never go back to their previous relationship because Songju is already engaged to Yuri. He and Jung can only be friends. But even though they agree to be each other's best friend, Songju can't help but kiss Jung while they are playing at the skating rink. Songju is extremely upset because he is engaged to Yuri and has to anesthetize himself through alcohol. He leans on Jung's shoulder as Jung is in a hurry to leave, but Songju holds Jung back and asks her not to leave until he sobers up. As Jung is about to get up and leave, Songju falls to the ground, gets up again shakily and throws himself on Jung. The two of them are obviously in love, but they can't be together for various reasons, and they have to torture each other. Seeing that Songju and Yuri got engaged and Jung didn't get happiness, Taywa approaches Mira and says that he is going to reveal the car accident 5 years ago. Mira is worried that Taywa will mess up Yuri and Songju's wedding, so Mira sets up her son once again. She has the counterfeit dealer kidnap Taywa and put him under house arrest, and forces him to draw fake paintings, trying to get him caught for the crime, but fortunately Songju finds out and calls the police to save Taywa. Songju arranges for Taywa to stay at the villa and decides to reunite Jung and Taywa. As Jung comes to the villa, Taywa is surprised and happy, thinking that they can get back together, but when he hears a feverish Jung calling out Songju's name in her sleep, Taywa realizes that Jung's love has always been Songju. Thus, he calls Songju and asks him to take Jung away, and after that, he picks up his backpack and leaves. Songju comes inside and looks at the sick Jung. He cries and tells her that he will never let her go again. He then takes the sick Jung to a nearby clinic. When he wakes up, he finds that Jung has left quietly long ago. When he rushes to the train station, the train Jung is on is slowly leaving the station, and the train is getting faster and faster. As he saw Jung leaving, Songju decides that this time he will be brave enough to chase after the woman he has loved for so many years and will not run away from her anymore. So he drives his own car to catch up with the train. Songju finally arrives at the terminal, and it is true that no matter how far apart two people who love each other are, they will meet each other after all. Jung finally understands that Songju's love for her is indestructible, so she chooses not to run away from him anymore. Songju brings Jung home and announces in front of everyone that he loves Jung and decides to withdraw from Yuri's engagement and marry Jung. When Yuri hears this, she threatens Jung to give up Songju. However, Jung says she will never give up again this time. When Mira sees this, she rushes to call Songju's mother and tell her Songju is going to withdraw from Yuri's engagement, which will affect company's reputation. Songju's mother learns about this and asks Songju to apologize to both Mira and Yuri, but Songju refuses to do so, telling her that he would rather give up his position as general manager if breaking off the engagement with Yuri would affect the group's reputation. Songju's mother is extremely angry and orders Songju to resign and leave the company immediately. After Songju quits his job, he finally has time to spend with Jung. They are very happy together. But the happy life is always broken by reality. Jung finds out that her eyesight has gradually become blurry. The next day she comes to the hospital to have her eyes checked, and the doctor tells her that her corneas has been damaged by the car accident and her condition is not good, so she has to go to a bigger hospital for a checkup. On the other hand, Songju's resignation affects company's normal operation, which makes Songju very worried. His mother wants him to return to the company on the condition that he will marry Yuri, which Songju does not agree to. Jung sees that Songju is worried about the company and persuades Songju to return to the company, which Songju finally reluctantly agrees to, but insists that he will not marry Yuri. After he returns to the company, Yuri happily greets Songju at the elevator entrance, but Songju doesn't even want to pay attention to her. Yuri sadly comes to Songju's mother and cries, claiming that she wants to give up her feelings for Songju. When Songju's mother hears this, she gets anxious. The next day, Songju's mother releases the news to the media that Songju and Yuri will get married, trying to use social media pressure to force Songju to get married with Yuri. When Taywa sees the news, he packs his bags and goes back to Myra's house. He decides to reveal all the crimes Yuri has done. Meanwhile, Songju is worried that Young will be sad when she sees the news that Songju's mother releases, so he calls Young. Just as the two agrees to pick out their wedding dresses, Young's eyesight condition also deteriorates and she faints on the road. She is taken to the hospital by passers-by. When she wakes up, the doctor tells her that she has a tumor in her eye and can lose her sight at any time. The only way to prevent the cancer from spreading is to have the eye removed. When she hears this news, Young feels like her world is going to collapse. How can fate play such a joke on her? At this moment, Songju is still in a state of happiness, picking out a wedding dress for Young. Young comes to the cafe to see Songju. She hides her illness from him, and sits in front of Songju, holding back her tears and staring straight at him, trying to remember his face before she loses her sight. Young then proposes to go to a sad movie, and Songju immediately arranges it for her. Young is trying to use the sad movie to fake her sadness in front of Songju. Young can't stop crying while watching the movie. Songju laughs at her for being too emotional, not knowing she cries because of her disease. Young returns home and meets Taywa, who reveals the truth about the car accident 5 years ago in front of everyone, how Yuri hit Young with her car and how she begged her biological father to hide Young. When Young hears that Yuri is the one who hit her 5 years ago, she becomes furious and vents her frustration on Yuri. Young comes to the storage room, where Taywa wants to sketch Young and asks Young to help him get the paints. Young is unable to recognize the colors and gets the wrong one twice. Taywa notices Young's abnormality. The next day, when Young leaves for the hospital, Taywa follows her secretly. The doctor tells Young that the cancer has spread and even if she has surgery to remove her eye, her survival rate would only be 50%. When Young walks out of the clinic in despair, Taywa rushes to ask the doctor about Young's condition and learns that Young has eye cancer. Young is devastated and knows that her days are numbered. She doesn't want to drag Songju down, so she decides to leave Songju and everyone else. She stumbles all the way to the company, hands in her resignation to Yuri, and asks Yuri to take care of Songju. Young, who is close to blindness, hides at the beach villa alone, deciding not to meet Songju again. Songju is anxiously looking for Young everywhere, but to no avail. In order for Yuri and Songju to successfully complete their marriage, Mira deliberately rubs salt into Songju's wounds by lying that Young and Taywa have eloped. At the same time, Taywa finds Young at the beach villa and tells her that he knows about her illness and decides to take care of her. The next day Taywa comes to the hospital to inquire about the cost of treatment, but unexpectedly learns that Young's eye disease is an after effect of the car accident 5 years ago. Taywa is furious after hearing this, runs to find Yuri and dumps her on the ground. Then Taywa, in order to raise money for Young's surgery, surprisingly takes the initiative to contact the counterfeit dealer and says he is willing to paint fake paintings. Taywa finishes the forgery within 3 days. As he is getting the money, he is caught by the police and is held at the police station. He can only call Songju, who flees the party after receiving the call and rushes to the police station. Taywa tells him the truth about Young's illness. Songju's heart seems to be dripping blood as if the sky is falling, and he can't speak for a while. Songju tells his assistant to let Taywa out on bail as soon as possible. Then, he drives all the way to the beach house. Young is waiting for Taywa's return and calls his phone over and over again, but there is no answer. She is so anxious that she stumbles out to look for Taywa and accidentally falls on the ground. She suddenly realizes that her eyes are completely blind. Taking off her glasses, Young rubs her eyes hard. However, the miracle doesn't happen. She can't see anything. She cries out Songju's name in fear and helplessness. At that moment, Songju arrives at the scene. As he sees Young struggling in the distance, he hurriedly runs over to her and holds her in his arms, but Young mistakes Songju for Taywa. Songju knows that Young doesn't want him to see her blind, so he doesn't make a sound and pretends that he is Taywa accompanying her. Young thinks that the person beside her is Taywa, asks for him to take her to see Songju one last time. She decides to break up with Songju before Songju finds out that she is blind. Songju looks at Young, with his heart broken, but still doesn't dare to make a sound, and pretends to be Taywa to take Young to Songju. They arrive at the coffee shop and Young pretends to wait for Songju as if nothing is wrong, and Songju cooperates by changing into his suit, wiping the tears off his face, and coming to sit across from Young. Young pretends that she is now with Taywa and is living happily, and says that Taywa is good to her. She asks Songju to forget about her and to marry Yuri. Songju agrees to Young's request by holding back his pain, and they shake hands one last time. At this moment, Songju can no longer control his inner grief. He runs out of the coffee shop and cries in despair outside. At the same time, Songju's assistant helps to release Taywa on bail. Songju continues to send Young home as Taywa. Taywa arrives home and comforts Young, saying that he will not leave her behind. He then helps Young go upstairs. Songju goes to Young's bedside and gently strokes Young's face with his hand. Young feels something unusual. When she suddenly reaches out to touch Songju's face, she finally realizes that it is Songju who is in front of her. Young doesn't want Songju to find out that she is sick, so she gets angry and drives Songju away. Before leaving, Taywa begs Songju to save Young, as no one can help Young but him. Songju comes to the hospital to inquire about Young's condition. Songju pleads with the doctor to save her, no matter how much it costs. The doctor gives a plan for radioactive treatment, but it does not guarantee Young's life. Not wanting to give up any hope, Songju drives to the beach house where he and Taywa convince Young to accept the treatment. Young is lucky to have two men who truly love her, and with them watching over her, Young agrees to go to the hospital for treatment. At the hospital, Songju proposes to Young. Young refuses because of her illness, but Songju insists on marrying Young. The next day, Yuri comes to Songju to discuss their marriage because they are supposed to get married a few days later. Songju refuses Yuri and leaves in a hurry. When Yuri follows Songju to the hospital, she sneaks into the ward and sees the blind Young. She is overjoyed and immediately informs Mira about this. Mira thinks Songju will not marry a blind Young, and will definitely marry Yuri. Mira and Yuri are celebrating their victory in advance. On Songju's wedding day, Songju's assistant brings Young a wedding dress, and Young is reluctant to marry Songju for fear of a relapse of her illness. In the end, Taywa asks Young to put on the wedding dress and go painting with him, and Young agrees. Meanwhile, Songju's mother, Mira, Yuri and other guests arrive at the wedding venue. When Mira and Yuri are being greeted by the crowd, Songju walks up to the stage and announces that he is getting married to Young. Yuri and Mira are shocked to hear this, as Songju's mother is terrified. Songju then tells everyone that Young is now completely blind due to the after effects of the car accident 5 years ago. He expresses his determination to marry Young, and pleads with everyone here not to stop it. By this time, Taywa has already brought Young to the wedding venue and he hands Young's hand to Young's father. Then Young's father tells Young that he will bring her to the person she loves most, so he takes Young's hand and walks towards Songju. These two people, who love each other deeply, have gone through all kinds of hardships and finally come to this day. At this moment, Mira can't sit still. She is so angry that she overturns the banquet table, threatening to sue Songju and Young for slander. Then Taywa appears at the party and tells everyone about the story of the car accident 5 years ago. Mira thinks that no one will believe what Taywa says, but unexpectedly, Yuri's biological father also comes to testify for Taywa and tells everyone about how Yuri hid Young after the car accident 5 years ago, and how she swapped the unconscious Young with the dead woman's body. Everyone at the scene is shocked. Yuri is terrified. Mira beats the reporter because she is afraid that the matter will be exposed and is finally carried out by the security guards. When Songju's mother finds out the truth, she is touched by Songju and Young's love for each other and stops opposing their marriage. Finally, with everyone's blessing, they complete their wedding. After the wedding, Young's father returns home and Mira tears his clothes and yells at him for helping Taywa. The police comes to Mira's house with Taywa saying that they are investigating about Young's car accident and are looking for Yuri. When Mira hears this, she lies that Yuri is not at home, but Yuri happens to come down from upstairs. The police takes Yuri away, which makes Mira go completely crazy and is admitted to a psychiatric hospital. At the same time, Songju carries Young to their wedding room. Songju deliberately leaves the room empty because he is worried about the furniture bumping into Young. After the wedding, colleagues from the company come to their home to celebrate for them. At this happy moment, Young unexpectedly faints and Songju rushes to the hospital with her on his back. When he arrives at the hospital, the doctor suspects that Young's cancer cells have metastasized, and once it metastasizes, all treatments and surgeries will be ineffective. Songju is extremely upset. He has no one to talk to about his worries, so he comes to Taywa to talk about it. After hearing this, Taywa comforts Songju by saying Young will be fine. The next day, Songju comes to the hospital and decides to donate his corneas to Young, but the doctor tells him that he cannot have a living transplant. Songju leaves the hospital in despair. At the same time, Taywa also arrives at the hospital and asks to donate corneas. The doctor refuses him with the same answer. Taywa says calmly, "When people die, there is no problem." That's right, he wants to end his life and donate his corneas to Young. Without any hesitation, he comes to the organ donation center and signs the organ donation agreement. Then he writes a letter to Young in advance, takes a picture, and says goodbye to his biological father, urging him to drink less alcohol, to take care of himself. He lied to his father that he is going to study in France, and he will not come back. Taywa then comes to the mental hospital to see his mother Mira. Taywa leaves sadly when he sees a mentally disturbed Mira. Finally he says goodbye to Young, lying that he is going to study in France and tells Young to be happy. After arranging all this, he drives to the countryside alone, carrying the scarf Young gave him when he was young, and his mind goes back to the little moments of living with Young. He smiles happily, willing to give up everything, including his life, for Young to be happy and for Young to see the light again. Then he lets go of the steering wheel and protects his eyes with both hands. On the other hand, Young suddenly wakes up from his sleep as if he feels that something has happened to Taywa. At that moment Songju receives a call from the hospital informing him that a cornea donor has appeared. Young is then taken into the operating room. Just as Songju is rejoicing that Young's eyes are about to see again, the police officer comes over and he hands Young a blood-stained letter and a donation card. After reading the letter, Songju runs to the morgue in a hurry. Then he sees Taywa's blood-covered body lying here. He is heartbroken because he doesn't want to believe that Taywa died to save Young, and he doesn't want to believe that there is someone who loves Young more than him. After more than 10 hours, Young's corneal transplant is very successful. When Young wakes up, she comes to pay tribute to the person who donates the cornea to her. She doesn't know it is Taywa because her eyes are still covered with gauze. Songju also obeys Taywa's will and does not tell Young the truth. After the gauze is removed, Young's eyes can see again. Songju is overjoyed to have Young's sight back and they live happily ever after. One day, Young receives a letter written by Taywa when he was alive. In the letter, Taywa mentions that he is doing well abroad and has a new beautiful girlfriend. Young believes it and feels very relieved. As she reads Taywa's letter, Songju is very painful. In order to honor Taywa's memory, Songju sets up a charity organization named Taywa Charity and puts Young in charge of it. In order to recruit other sponsors, they hold a small party. At the charity's party, Young suddenly begins to vomit, so she goes to the hospital for a checkup and is diagnosed that the cancer cells have metastasized before the surgery and any treatment is useless at the moment. Hearing this result, Songju is heartbroken. Looking at Young waiting for him to tell her the diagnosis result in the distance, he sits helplessly on the ground and cries bitterly. From longing to losing and regaining, Songju has to face the loss again. He has been enduring great torment and pain. He doesn't want to hide the diagnosis result from Young and wants her to receive treatment against cancer, so he tries his best to persuade her. Young refuses to receive treatment because she doesn't want to die in the hospital. Songju has no choice but to tell her that Taywa gave up his life for her. The cornea's donor is Taywa, so now she has to do everything she can to keep herself alive. Young is unable to accept the fact and she runs out very emotionally. She is going to find Taywa. She doesn't want to believe what Songju says, but knowing that it is true, there is no way for her to change it. After a night of emotional release, Young finally accepts the truth. She comes to Songju and asks how much time she has left. She wants to cherish the gift Taywa gave her and to use the time left to make good memories for Songju. Happy times always pass especially fast. Young's health is deteriorating and she has to rely on medication to maintain. After leaving the hospital, she comes to visit Yuri in prison to see her one last time before she passes away. Young forgives Yuri for what she did. Yuri finally says that long overdue sorry to Young, apologizing for what she did to Young. Young then comes to visit Mira at the mental hospital and tells Mira that Taywa has passed away in order to let herself see again and asks Mira to take good care of Young's father. At this moment, Mira realizes that the most important thing in life is her family, but she has never cherished it. She gently touches Young's cheek, shedding tears of remorse. Young comes back from the mental hospital and cooks Songju a last dinner. Young thanks Songju for giving her so much love and making her life full of happiness. The next day, they go to the beach house and Songju holds Young's hand tightly, saying that they will walk together to the end of this sea. Young snuggles into Songju's arms as she goes alone to heaven, where there is no pain, no sorrow, and no parting. The two look forward to the day they will be reunited in the heaven. A few days later, Songju comes to the beach and plays the song he used to play for Young, telling how much he misses Young. He looks exhausted. This time he does not shed any tears because he knows that Young has already arrived in heaven, a place full of love and joy.